I am Diana Lenska.
Hello, I'm Matthew K. Smith.
And this is InDvue, where you, the independent filmmaker, and your films are the star. Well, today is a very special episode of InDvue. We have a full-length feature film that we will be reviewing, and this film was actually submitted to the Chautauqua International Film Festival by one of the producers, Daniel Cleghorn. It's called Andy's Rainbow. It's an inspirational film that stars a young man, Jacob Dufour, who not only stars in the film, was writer and one of the producers, and a family member, Adam Dufour, also a director and producer. And I'll let Matthew fill you in a bit more of the details of this extraordinary production.
Yeah, well, I was excited about the detail about Jacob and how much work he did. I was floored. I mean, and I realized that detail before I really even watched much of it. And as I'm watching it going, this guy did that, and he did that, you know, listening to the music. He also put the music together.
Yes.
And edited the film himself. So
now this film, he plays a mentally challenged young man. And before we go into telling you a bit more, let's show them an example of the film, the trailer. We're going to let you see the trailer of Andy's Rainbow.
What does life mean to me?
Ray, you open this door! Ray, you open it right now!
What makes you think life means anything to me?
Rain Davis, you've been found guilty of shoplifting and resisting arrest again. 14 days juvenile detention or 50 hours community service. You pick.
Oh gee, let me think.
Do you know where Rainbow Meadow is at? It's a youth home just outside town on Henderson Street.
A youth home?
Yes, for special needs children.
I'm Rain Davis. I'm here to help your groundskeeper.
Oh, yes, they told me you were coming.
My name is Andy.
I really don't care.
Okay.
Wow, this is beautiful. Seems like you put a new one up every day.
What is wrong with you?
Shut up!
You've never cared about my life before. Why did you care now?
Is he the one that hit you?
No, that wasn't him. I fell. That's all.
You fascinate me. I've never had a patient like you before. You always think of others and you're selfless.
Why are you so good to me?
Everybody should be good to each other.
Really? God loves me? Is that why he took away my mom and left me with an abusive father?
With Abigail gone, it is hard to be both parents.
Dr. Kennedy says that sometimes the most simple things are the most beautiful.
So I've noticed.
Well, that was quite uplifting, and let us continue our review and our conversation on this extraordinary film, and I'll let you take it from here, Matt.
first of all, anytime an actor has to play a mentally challenged individual, I've never had to do that. I've never been faced with that kind of role. But word on the street, if you will, has it that it is a very difficult thing to do. And watching Jacob do his thing as Andy was reminiscent for me of Leonardo DiCaprio's role as Arnie Grape in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I believe that was a film from 1993. And Leonardo did very well there, and like I said, as I'm watching it, I'm seeing the same skill level in Jacob. I mean, it was really, really well done.
He's very convincing. You do really believe that this young man is a mentally challenged individual, and you feel for him.
He put a lot of work into this character, developing the tics that were necessary and so on for a person in this position, and he was thorough with it. He was the continuity was really good. There were maybe a few points where I could still see that that maybe he hasn't done this as much as others. There were, slight signs of
And
inexperience.
you see, and I didn't see that. So
Yeah,
this is
and-
where we have a slight difference of opinion on today's show.
Right.
But I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
see that.
I mean,
with
it's a
the film.
subjective thing, of course, and it's just as I'm watching along, we're definitely small, like I say, small moments. It could have been the writing, which Jacob also wrote it, and an amazing job. Right? I don't know what Jacob's experiences is thus far in his life, but this was very well done. I'm getting the feeling that he's kind of starting out, maybe 2 or 3 fundamental projects
He's had
behind
a few,
him. But even at 2 or 3, this is still really amazing for that.
For a young person.
Exactly.
To do all what he's did. Now, Andy's Rainbow has been having an incredible festival run. It's also been screened around the country. It is going to be screened at the Chautauqua International Film Festival the last weekend of July 2017 and is up for a major award as well.
As it should be,
Yes.
as it should be.
Yes.
One of the things I guess I should say another thing that I wanted to point out. The highlight, a highlight for me. First of all, I should also say I'm a big fan of Victoria Jackson's work. So to see her in there and see that she's
Yes.
contributing to a product like this, and she did amazing, So, but I want to also say that the writing and the acting, it was spot on for heartfelt moments. I mean, they were created by what I'll call those moments of flawless performances. So the chemistry between Jacob Dufour and Shelby Taylor Mullins as Rain Davis, it was just, you could cut it with a knife how perfectly well thickened it was on screen.
It's very, very moving.
Yeah, and
very, very moving.
the end was just by far the most, I won't give anything away, as I'm sure Diana won't, but the ending was so well done, well done. I mean, it was up there with so many other films that I watched, and I think I cried just as much for Andy's Rainbow, as weird as that sounds. Yes, I cried. Stop it. So it was very moving. They did an amazing job.
Yes, it is. A film that you are not going to want to miss. So if you're in the Western New York area this summer, make sure you come to the Chautauqua International Film Festival to see Andy's Rainbow. Now, the next film we're going to be moving on to is an incredible documentary short by a student filmmaker, John General, who is both director and writer of this production as well. It is a subject that I was not aware of. It's called Extra 1104, Rockport Train Wreck. A true story that to me was very moving and very powerful. We're going to show you a brief trailer first, and then we'll get into discussion, Matt and I, of this documentary. So let's watch the trailer for the Rockport Train Wreck.
I can't imagine what it must have been like. These people were basically cooked in a train car, windows up, 3 o'clock in the morning, most of whom were sleeping.
These people were just absolutely cooked. You'd take a hold of their arm to try to help them, and the skin would come off in your hand.
There was a unique set of circumstances that really conspired to bring the fates in against the Lackawanna and passengers.
3 cars ended up on top and on the side.
The engine didn't explode, but the steam from the engine went up into the cars and literally cooked the people.
That was a shock, I guess, to see something like that.
The Rockport train wreck was the deadliest disaster in Warren County history, and still is to this day.
Well, now that's only a minute and a half of a 21-minute documentary short that to me, I actually found as powerful as documentaries that I had viewed on the Titanic.
Yeah, it clearly wasn't as devastating, at least from the death toll, but here's the thing, 50 people died, right, in this documentary, that's what they highlighted. But my hat's off to John, General, because the way it was put together, the way he grabs you and you're absorbed into these details, you feel like it's the Titanic. I mean, that's how intense everything combined.
Well, you get to know what, I think with any good documentary, you're getting to know who some of these victims were.
Yeah.
The families, the mothers, the father, the children, the survivors. And what made this situation as tragic as it was, that where this wreck took place, there were no hospitals nearby. There was nothing. It was literally in this isolated, deserted area that made it very difficult to get to the wreck, to the survivors, and to try to help anybody. And part of the power too was not only was it the people, these were immigrants who were, I believe, they were returning home. They were going to be leaving the United States to return home. And here they were planning to go on this, embarking on this next aspect of their life when this tragedy struck. And you get to know not just the various individuals on that train, but also the porters. You get to know them personally. You're seeing photographs. You're getting to see and hear information that was relayed at that time and later on by some of the survivors and those people who did come to help this wreck, that learned maybe secondhand from their parents because they were too young, they were children, and it still has such an emotional impact on the people who live in this area, who helped, or whose family members, parents or grandparents helped in. And that, what we forgot to say, this took place in 1925. 1925 is the setting of this train wreck, which you probably saw from the watching the trailer. But to me, when something can capture you and you feel it and it touches your heart, to me that's a powerful experience. And for a young filmmaker, so many young filmmakers, they're all wanting to do zombie films, blood and gore films. I really...
Not that there's anything wrong with that,
No,
Keep it
I
on.
don't. If that's what you
your
want to
thing.
do, if that's what you love to do, but the fact is that he chose such a subject as this, and it moves you so powerfully. I don't know if, I believe it did have the same effect on you as well.
One of my highlights was the fact that even though, by contrast, relatively speaking, this was not one of the more detrimental effects or elements in our history or in New Jersey history. This is Rockport, New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey, South Jersey. This was more of a northern thing. I never knew about this. But the gentleman points out in his film, John, that he lived in the area and he didn't know about it until he was 18. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things that are getting swept away, but he brought it to light. He brought it to light in such an amazing way that, like I said, you felt like it was something that was as devastating as the Titanic. There was a quote that one of the guys said.
You feel it emotionally to that extent. The way
the music was melded in. Yeah,
all of it.
Very well done. It was as good as any documentary I've seen released on any high-end television station or what have you. I think John himself was doing the narrating, if I'm not mistaken, and I think there were times when it seemed like he might have been able to emphasize something. This just goes back to I have to give people positive and negatives. So I think just a little bit of inexperience with regard to the narration. But even though it was not Morgan Freeman narrating it, you know, the way he did it did not detract hardly at all. So it was an engaging documentary. There was a quote in the film: "The railroad was not the only thing severely damaged that night in June of 1925. The engine 1104 train disaster of Rockport, New Jersey scarred many." And that sums it up. And it was, again, very well done. He did his homework. I believe he credits the people at the end of the film who helped do a lot of the research. Clearly, that research was labor intensive, and I respect all the effort that went into it. It was definitely enjoyable, and it was eye-opening to me again, because like you said, it's not something we knew about.
And again, the Rockport train wreck will be screened at the Chautauqua International Film Festival the last weekend of July 2017 in Jamestown, New York, at the Hotel Jamestown. And his documentary is also up for an award. Well, that's it for another exciting episode of InDvue. We hope you'll be back with us next week. If you wish to leave any comment, please do so on our InDvue channel site. If you have any questions, anything that you would like to know about any of the films that you are seeing, or any films that you would like to suggest for us to screen in future episodes, please contact us at indvuetv@gmail.com.
And if you have any hate mail, just send it to Diane. She
Oh,
loves
thank
that.
you.
She
Thank
loves
you. I hope there'll be some for you too, Matt, not just me.
that. There should be. There should be a lot of hate mail for me.
Oh, dear. Well, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.